Hey, what is up? Welcome to this episode of the Wantrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian Lofermento, and not only am I excited for today's episode, but we are all very much in for a treat today because we are joined by somebody who is such a shining light in the world of business and uplifting other business leaders, executives, entrepreneurs, CEOs. Trust me, today's guest is going to be speaking directly to you because this is someone who believes so deeply in the power of building great businesses and building momentum that gets us through all of those hard parts. Because let's face it, there are hard parts around every corner. So let me introduce you to today's guest. His name is Chip Higgins. For over 4 decades, Chip has dedicated his career to empowering small business owners to transform vision into reality. With a deep foundation in banking and economics from his earliest days in Winston-Salem to executive leadership in 3 regional banks, Chip's business banking strategies consistently earned each institution national best brand recognition by Greenwich Associates. Yet his true focus has always been serving entrepreneurs directly, recognizing the vital role that they play in shaping communities and driving economic progress. Now, in his own entrepreneurial fronts, Chip is the author of the Bizzics Way, which is a guidebook built on the profound idea that momentum is not just a buzzword. It's a universal law that shapes a lasting success at every level. The book has earned 5 #1 Amazon bestseller distinctions, and through his Bizzics coaching practice, founded in 2019 and now further enriched by his book, Chip demystifies business and leadership for entrepreneurs, offering both practical tools and encouragement for the journey. Because guess what? We need both sides of that coin. So I'm excited about this one. Let's dive straight into my interview with Chip Higgins. All right, Chip, I am so very excited that you're here with us today. First things first, welcome to the show.
Brian, I'm equally, if not more, excited. It's been it's really a joy to get to be on your show. Thank you for having me on.
Heck yeah, we are so grateful that you're here. And Chip, I only tease listeners a little bit with all the amazing things that you do. So let's start with you personally. Take us beyond the bio. Who's Chip? How did you start doing all these cool things?
Yeah, I mean, at my age, it's probably more than I can share. But I think for the purposes of the audience, I early on in my life, growing up in Winston-Salem was a big banking town. Wachovia was headquartered there, and of course, the entire state was a great banking community of NCNB and First Union and. So anyway, I'm one of the weird people that opted for banking as a career. Most people kind of fall into it by accident. They can't tell you how they got started in banking, but there's something about that blend of some level of intellect in solving problems with people, great interpersonal relationships, and just the community building. The community part of it that I just realized that strong banks are essential to helping communities grow with wise capital deployment, whether you're an individual or a business. If you don't have good banks, it's going to be really hard to grow a community. So that's what I aspired to. And, it took me to start my career in Nashville in 1984, started in a training program here, and have essentially been here pretty much ever since. I left to go to graduate school, but I think for my very first days after training and getting out on the line, there was something about the small business owner that I found just incredibly compelling. There was authenticity there, incredible level of energy, some quirkiness and uniqueness. And I mean, they're just real people and trying to do real things with their lives. And so I just feel like that's been my guiding light throughout banking. And as banking evolved and, my roles evolved from, direct line management to more executive roles, the banking industry just changed so dramatically. It's like, I think we're probably coming up on 75% fewer banks today than when I started, which is astonishing, really, when I put that stat out. But, we kind of went through this phase of opening up to other financial services, the investment world, all these things. And then, efficiencies and, it's just been one thing after another. And finally, this is probably coming up on 10 years ago now, I was at a great bank and just discovered that, advisory services were so hard to find for small business owners, and it started making sense to me. The failure rates that we see, and I just decided that I want to continue to help small business owners, but I'm not going to lend money anymore. So that's why I started Bizzics, and I felt like, let's keep it simple. If you want to move forward and have momentum, I kept hearing momentum a lot, in conversations over the years, and just always wondered if people understood what it meant. And finally bit the bullet and said, I'm going to see if I can write a book on this that is clear and concise and makes sense to people. And, that worked. I'm really, really proud of the book, and continue to get good reviews on it. So I hope it's something that will help business owners, long after I've, lost my lucidity or mobility or whatever. It's just kind of my best thinking after 40 years of dealing directly with business owners and watching and, just having a sense of what's going on with people. So that's, I live here in Nashville, got a great family, and, it's been wonderful to watch this city grow. I mean, it's hardly recognizable now compared to when I moved here in '84.
Yeah, I love that overview, Chip, especially because I feel like it showcases so many of your unique vantage points that you have when it comes to business. You and I both love business on so many different levels, and hearing that background, I'll throw this out there, I'm sure that you're aware of this, is that sometimes people, when they look at banking's relationships with small businesses, they think, oh gosh, to banks, we're all just numbers. They don't care about my unique business, they just care about the numbers. It seems to me like you also appreciate business because of how unique they are, because of the fact that they are so fluid, because they are way more than just numbers. Talk to us about that approach, because I know that it's a dichotomy where some people think, oh, my business is so unique, it's not like any other. I hear that all the time, and I often laugh because I think to myself, well, yes, every business is different, but there are some universal
you definitely want
truths.
to be unique.
Yeah. So Chip, how do you balance that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that I've recently wrote some articles on LinkedIn, I think it was, but just talking about unique value proposition and finding your target, and I think there has to be a credible, realistic discipline around the uniqueness that while you're being unique, you have to study the market about who's likely to buy. And, I was with somebody probably a month or two ago, and they were working with the company, and it was like they had developed, like, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like an Amish hammer or something that they were trying to sell for like $175. And so I'd say on the unique scale, very high, on the market appeal and the niche, big question mark. I mean, I'd have to see a lot of data about who would buy something like that. And, I think we can all find that product that is like, man, whoever came up with this. And then you kind of think, well, who has the wallet for it? Who has the desire for it? I remember one time I took my daughter to the farmer's market here, and I'm a bit of a coffee fiend, so I noticed that there was a coffee station at the farmer's market, and literally, Brian, it was like I walked up and told them I wanted a cup of coffee, and they were trying so hard to make it authentic that I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it was almost like there was a coffee plant in the background that they. I got to watch them pull the beans off and like do this entire process, and I'm waiting like I'm, having the DT shakes for the coffee, and finally the coffee came out. And I said to my daughter, like, that's a really, really unique experience, and I'm not sure that this one's ever going to see brick and mortar. It's just like people that want coffee. I can't have the theatrics. It's too unique. So I hope that answers your question, but I think we always we have to study the problem, come up with a unique solution, and if we're serious about being in business, we have to have a sense of how broad and deep the market is, that we can solve the economic equation, which is ultimately, we have to be able to make money to be able to deliver this distinctive value to people. And I've dealt with a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs. They love ideation. It's like they love, man, we could do this or that, and it's like, at some point you have to decide, is it important enough in somebody's life and big enough of a market that you would want to invest your savings and really your life. I mean, it's the drill. I mean, this isn't like punch in, punch out kind of work. Like, you've got to be invested in it. And is the opportunity big enough? So I'm all for the dreams, and sometimes, I mean, I've seen it where, that one particular idea, is not enough, but they end up blending with somebody else and they can make a business out of it. Sometimes that little niche or laser focus on one thing is part of a bigger picture that they can become a part of, which is great. I'm all for collaboration, but just be realistic about, it's like, what was it, Casey Kasem said, keep your feet on the ground, but keep reaching for the stars. I think that's the idea. And, when we find things inside ourselves, that need to be spoken in the world or acted upon, that's when we're all better off. It's like if we never try it or, make the effort to figure it out. I mean, it's the song that's unsung. And, that's the saddest country song, here in Nashville, is a song that never gets sung.
Yeah. And Chip, hearing you say that, I think that really calls out one important thing that all of us as entrepreneurs, and especially, hey, all of you entrepreneurs tuning into today's episode, I think it's a testament to the fact that if you're just in the game, things happen. It doesn't mean that you're going to win. It doesn't even mean that you're going to get a shot on target. But if you're in the game, you start to figure things out. And Chip, that's why I'm so excited. All leading up, you and I both know how long we've been planning this sit down together for. And I've been really excited to hear you talk about, on the flip side of things that make us so different, the one thing that we all have in common is the need for momentum. And I'm so excited because momentum pops up so much in your work. It pops up so much in the amazing things you put into the world. So Chip, talk to us about momentum, why some people treat it as just a buzzword and how we should actually treat momentum.
Yeah, I just think that, there are certain words that are easy to say. And, I think that one of the reasons I wrote the book, I thought the book would be compelling, is that we definitely know momentum. We live in a physical world, and we hit a lot of ice and things. Here a few weeks ago, it was horrible, but you get a sense of momentum in times like that. It's like, or you're in a car, or you're trying to drink your coffee and you take a hard left turn and the coffee keeps going straight and it's all over the dashboard. It's like we see that stuff all the time. And I think that, the sports world is right to talk about momentum. We hear it there a lot, and it's just like, man, I need some momentum. And we basically feel like, we want to have that, the wind is blowing through our hair and we're having a great ride, and, things are moving. But, when we stop, and I used to leave meetings, where people talked about momentum, and I would just think, I wonder if there's a depth of understanding there, because if there is, it's a really powerful thing to tap into. If you've got a universal principle that is defined and applicable, grab on and start getting momentum, and so that's the work I undertook. And, part of it was inspired by my, unforgettable high school physics teacher, Sister Rita, who scared me to death. That I kind of remembered the idea of it, but I was never great at formulas. But it's compelling because it's one of the simplest formulas I know in science: mass times velocity. So it's those are the two variables we don't need a lot of calculus to figure out. It's mass times velocity, and my enduring image of momentum are freight trains. And you think about, I won't go into great detail about coal trains, but, any train, when you look at it, if you think about the speed at which they're moving, it's not that great. But when you think about how hard it is to stop it, it's because of the tremendous weight that's behind it. And so that's really what I outline in the book. I mean, in a business sense, what is velocity? What is mass? And underlying the equation is this incredible other buzzword called energy, which, it's like people have, talk about positive energy and, but the reality is like there's got to be emanating from you, a vibrational field of aspiration to make lives better for people, whatever that value proposition is. And if your soul mission is to make money, and that's a great mission. I'm not talking that down. I just, from my personal experience of 40 years in business, I don't think that the money motivation alone is enough to sustain a business. It's got to be much deeper, much more connected to the welfare of others and making things better for other people. And you look at some of the brands that have really astonished people, the Amazons, the Spanx of the world. They came from an idea of how that genius was going to make lives better for people. And by the way, all those people are incredibly wealthy. It's a byproduct of a well-lived mission, to me. But you've got to understand the energy field, how you distribute energy, and how you find energy in other people for the mission that you have. And if you don't have that to start with, all the business plans, all the papers, all the whatever in the world, you're not going to make it. And I've seen many businesses run out of energy way before they ran out of money, just because it had become kind of a drone of activities that really lacked the passion and kind of verve that people need to come into work and feel excited, like we're making a difference in the world. So that kind of thing is not it's not just trite pop culture energy stuff. I mean, it's real. And we get into, velocity's a vector, and vectors have to have a distance, a direction, and a speed. And if you haven't defined your business in that way, a lot of businesses that I've talked to have a general idea of more. Like they want more, they want to grow, they want a top line. But if you got into a specific discussion with them about who is the target client, how much of that market of that client do you expect to have with your unique value proposition, and how long is it going to take you to get there? I think most small business owners would really fumble around with that. Very enamored of the uniqueness of their business, but not really understanding that that's the first. That's the first. If you got the energy, that's the first part of momentum. Is where am I going, and how fast? How long do I think it's going to take to achieve that? And then, just very quickly on mass, it was one of my favorite chapters to write because it took the longest. I was really, I talked to a legitimate scientist when I was writing the book. He's a friend of mine, is a Caltech physicist, and we had known each other for a long time. So he gave me a few hours, and we were talking about it. Of course, he lives in the physical world, so a lot of the things I was talking about were, kind of not on his radar screen, but they made tremendous sense to me. And we started talking about mass, and he said, Chip, the thing about mass is it's not anything to do with size. It's all about density. It's all about weight. And so, if you're talking to a small business, small business can be actually very massive if they have incredible intention, unique value proposition, and the experience. 98% of the mass of anything is in its nucleus. And so that's not a jump to say, well, what's at the nucleus of every business? And you can start with the people. I don't care if you're borrowing money or raising money through investors. They're going to want to know who are the people behind it, what's their experience level, what's their code of ethics, what's their value system. That's where, and on as you hire people, like that's what's at the center of your business is incredible people that are growing and connected with each other. Connection's a big part of mass. So I'm talking really fast now, Brian. Maybe I should stop and see if you have any questions. But I guess my summary would be, I hope my contribution to business is that this very simple formula of mass times velocity is omnipresent with business owners. They can remember it, and when they choose to take action or consider ideas, it's got to fit that framework, or it's not going to produce momentum. It's just not. I believe in the universality of it, and then many people say, "Well, that's a great metaphor." It's not a metaphor to me. I've been around long enough to see how this works, and I absolutely believe that this equation lives in the business world.
Yeah, so well said. I love that. And especially because analogies, these universal truths that you talk about, you steal it from the world of science. And guess what? So many of these things, they don't live in a bottle. These are universal truths. And so what goes up must come down. That's true in the stock market as well as in gravity. And so hearing you talk about all these things, Chip, to me, something that really stands out about your work is that it's not just words. It's not just theory. You are so good at making it practical. And you know what? As a Bostonian looking over your shoulder right now, I spy a picture of Larry Bird. And
I didn't know you're a Bostonian. Yeah, this is my I'm from Boston originally. You know, I was born there in '62, so I've got Bird dropping one over the doctor there. My all-time sports hero, John Havlicek, Yaz and Lonborg after the '67 champion when they made the World Series, and then I got Bill Russell putting it to Wilt at the top. So that's my pantheon. Over here, I got Jim Rice over here, but you can't see him.
Chip, I love it. And I'm going to pick on that Larry Bird example because if we look at Larry Bird's game, and some people might try to deduce their business to, oh, it's just a combination of strategy and tactics. When I hear Chip talk about having a universal sales proposition, okay, that is a tactic that I can focus on. But Chip, you brought this very important ingredient into the conversation as well, which is energy. Is Larry Bird the greatest technical shooter of all time? No, I think Ray Allen would like to have a word about that. And Steph Curry would certainly like to have a word. However, universally, and I'm too young to remember Larry Bird, but universally I've heard every single player has said, you can't doubt that guy's mindset. Did Larry Bird have off games? Yes. Did Larry Bird have shots that he missed? Yes. However, that energy always came in. Chip, to people who are looking at the Larry Birds of any respective industry and thinking, well, that guy was just made that way. I don't have that inside of me. What are those practical steps we can do to become those Larry Birds? Those practical steps to master the mindset, the energy that you've brought to the table for us today.
Yeah, and I'll go back further. I'll answer that just a question, but this guy over here, Havlicek, that's what impressed me about him. Even way before Larry Bird, was the guy never stopped. He was a perpetual motion machine. I don't know how many miles a game that the guy ran, but he just never stopped. It was constant energy and making things happen, so I think to answer your question, the first step is to be really thoughtful about what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Larry Bird from the beginning, just he wanted to win. He wanted the championships, well, whatever level. That '79 run when he in college, I remember it well. He was up against Magic when he was at Indiana State. Nobody could believe it. Nobody could believe what he was carrying on his back, just from the idea, like this vision that he had that he was going to be the champion. And business is like that in many ways, but many of the wins are day-to-day wins that you're having with clients who are experiencing something different from you. And when you're very thoughtful about the space, the things that you know how to do, the way that you can impact the world, and in the book, we talk about kinetic energy versus potential energy. Everybody has that potential energy. It's just stored until you put it in motion. And when you put it in motion, the first step is, what am I going to win at? Which customers am I going to win over? Because I know that I'm doing something better for them than anybody's ever thought of. I think that is the first step. And then, the strategy is really important. Knowing how you're going to get there is very important. But it's a lot of practice. And I think if you talk to anybody, and Brian, I think you clearly know this already. Like, wouldn't it be great if we pulled the business out of an Amazon box and it was ready to go? It's like, it's like once you get to that ideal client and then a unique value proposition, and there's so much time becoming a genius at what you do. And you look at Larry Bird, the man. He was a genius at basketball. He had done it so much. He had tried so many things: left hand, right hand. Behind the back, spots on the court, studying it, to where, I love, one of the Instagram accounts I get is like bird stories. And it's like all these super famous people that said, yeah, I came out, he told me, in the corner, I'm going to go to the top of the key. I'm going to cut through the lane and go to the corner. I'm going to drop a 3 on you. Like, it happened. And so like he was able to see it all in advance because he had done it so much. And I think I would just prepare anybody, in that entrepreneur category, is enjoy that journey. Just make sure you have enough money to do it. Whether you're doing a side gig or, you found some money to just say, I'm going to go do this. Like, give yourself the runway for trial and error to figure out how you're going to execute. And, many times, we learn plays that are very different from other people in the industry just by staying fresh and thinking about, this could be a great product in the wrong business model. Like, maybe I could build this in a different way that's more current with the times. So, study the game, practice the game, be ready to fail by all means. Like, accept your failures as a step forward. I think Jeff Bezos is probably one of the main proponents of failing forward, and look what it's produced. Practice, get in the game, play it, learn from it, and just never lose your heart for what you're trying to accomplish for people. I talk a lot about Sarah Blakely in my book, and I think she's one of my favorite entrepreneurs because that's one that, right there on her dining room floor, like, she was determined not to produce a product, but just to find a way for women to feel really great about themselves in public settings, and what a dream and what a mission, that she had for that. And that's right. I'd spend a lot of time on that. Oh, I feel like I'm rambling on now, Brian. I'm sorry.
Well, no, Chip,
obviously I care about what I'm talking about. I hope you feel my energy toward the subject.
100%, because I want to share with both you and listeners that your emphasis on practice, where my head goes, and obviously having as many of these conversations as I've had, my head when I hear the word practice now, I go straight to, what is practice? It's just reps. And we've all heard about how many free throws a day Larry Bird would hit. And I guess you and I are just sharing Larry Bird stories here today, but obviously they cross over to the world of business. I once heard a story where Larry Bird was on set recording a commercial, and as part of that commercial, they really needed him to miss a shot from the free throw line. And I've seen this video. Red Auerbach is on the court with him, and Larry keeps putting the shot up, and the director's getting so frustrated because Larry can't miss. And why can't he miss?
That to even enter his head.
Yeah. Why can't he miss? Because he's made a habit. He's made tens of thousands of reps of putting the ball in the basket. And I think that is something for all of us, is that those reps, sure, they're not always easy, and it doesn't mean they always go in, but we get to the point where, I always totally botch that quote, but it's something along the lines of, when the pressure's on, we don't rise to our best level, we fall to the level of our training. And that's where those reps come in.
Absolutely. And if I could drop one quote on this show for you that my kids are so tired of me saying this, but like, I completely, this goes back to cassette tapes days. I completely wore out my Nitty Gritty Dirt Band Circle Unbroken 2 tape in the car. I think it exploded at one point, but there's a point on that tape where it's they're recording live, and there's a lot of chatter as they're getting ready to record. And somebody in the group says, "Now, is this one practice?" And I think it was Johnny Cash says, "Man, they're all practice." And I just think that's true of everything that we do in life. Every action we take is a practice towards something bigger. And we didn't stop walking when we were 3 years old because we fell down. And just keep going, keep learning, be a student of whatever it is you're trying to do, and keep it moving forward.
Oh, I love that. Chip, you've made your life very difficult today, though, because I have no idea, with all of those nuggets of knowledge that you've already dropped on us, how you're going to top all of it for the answer to my final question. But I do ask this at the end of every episode, and that is, what's your best piece of advice for listeners? Knowing that we're being listened to by both entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs at all different stages of their own growth journeys, what's that one thing you want to leave them with today?
Okay, if it's entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs, I think honor the energy that you feel in you by taking action. And I think that that action doesn't have to be for the entrepreneur. It doesn't have to be selling your house, really dramatic things, but take that next step and see what the step after that is. And my message to entrepreneurs is, it's equally important to always have that edge of what's the next thing and to not get complacent. And I've just found that so much in business. When I wrote the book, people would say, well, are you gonna talk about sustaining momentum? And I said, yeah, of course. You got to keep it going. And there's something about the entrepreneur who's had success, who's already been through the trials of risking it all and had success, that they get complacent and stop thinking about what are the 5 next things that are stirring in me that I need to honor. And just always honor your heart and like what's going on in your interior space, and find that one step that's going to be proof or denial that you're excited about it or it's going to work. But don't let it rest, because the universe needs you. They need your best, and when you bring it forth, it's helpful to everybody.
Oh, yes. I love that advice, Chip. I feel like you struck me at every single stage of my 17-year entrepreneurial journey up to this point, because that's the thing about really good advice is it's not advice that we need to hear once. It's advice that we need to hear over and over again. So, Chip, I'm so grateful for you coming on the air and sharing so many of your stories, insights, experiences,
Brian, I'm the grateful one. Thank you. And thank you for all that you're doing. And I look forward to following you. And this has been a great time. It's been better than I thought, and I thought it was going to be great. So thank you for having me on.
Aw, Chip, you rock. But before we let you go, I do need you to share with listeners where they can get more of your brilliance, because you're putting so many good things into the world. I love the fact that not only do you have your book, The Bizzics Way, but last year you also launched Bizzics on Demand, which is an AI assistant agent that lets anyone have that experience of the book. So many cool things.
So my personal website is just chiphiggins.com. I got a lot of my speaking and training things on there, and you can find me on LinkedIn. I have a usually weekly a LinkedIn article on these topics, so please jump in. And sometimes I drift a little bit, and it might be 10 days between, but it usually means it's going to be a good one. But to Brian's point, I've never been more excited in all the work that I've done than launching this agent. It's called Bizzics on Demand. It's a small language model, and it basically provides a contextualized experience of the book. So you can find it on my website, thebizzics.com, www.bizzics.com /Bizzics on Demand. It'll tell you all about it, who the platform provider is, and that type of thing. The conversations that people have with this agent will absolutely blow your mind. And it can be as basic as just understanding the book, to all the way to help me plan an offsite session, help me figure out how to develop leadership. What can I do for sales? What can I do? And it's a lot of it is in the prompt, but I promise you what my agent is trained to do is clarify the problem and help you find a way forward for that next step, which is what we talked about earlier. What is the next best step that you can handle? There's a 7-day free trial. I don't even ask for your credit card. Just come in and use that. And I think it's one of the best, most hopeful uses of AI, looking at all the different things going on around the world. This is your world in my world, and nobody's sharing this data out on the large language models. It's all just us trying to make your business better. So please jump in on that.
Yes, and listeners, you already know the drill. We're dropping those links down below in the show notes, no matter where it is that you're tuning into today's episode, because we only had Chip for a short time here today. Pretty sure him and I could do a 6-hour-long episode about how we both bleed green. And so, Chip, I'm so grateful for all of that. So listeners, check out those links down below. And Chip, on behalf of myself and all the listeners worldwide, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Brian. Really, sincerely. Thank you very much.